Hello, welcome to An Old Man Running. I want to talk today about my experience with the Adidas Prime X. This is the pair I've been running in. This is a brand new pair that I got in sale last week, so that should say it all in terms of my experience. I love these shoes. I've now run 11 times for a distance of just under 240 kilometres, so about 150 miles. My average distance is about half marathon distance in them. I bought them as marathon training shoes for my, so I've been knocking out 16, 18, 20, 22 milers, and they're everything I could have hoped for. And in fact, I ended up actually running my latest marathon race in the shoes. When I first got these shoes, I was on business in Austria. That's where I bought the shoes, and so the video to come covers both my initial impressions of the shoes on my very first run and also my experience over the 11 runs overall that I've had. Hey, welcome to An Old Man Running Vienna edition. For my run today, I've got my brand new Adidas Prime X's, just bought this morning. They feel very trampoline-y, a little bit unstable, but here at the canal side in central Vienna, I'm going to go down here. The Prime X feel a little bit loose. I'm going to do a lockdown knot. I think I'm going to need that for the run. Okay, so my runner's knot is done. They feel a lot more snug now. I have run out of excuses, so I'd better just get up and start running. I always hate the first 800 or 900 meters at my age. It's like the Tin Man running. So a little further than halfway in my run, just a bit over 7 miles. The shoes are feeling pretty good. A lot of bounce, ton of comfort, not feeling the plate at all. My left ankle's my weakest part and I feel it a little bit, but no worse than any other shoe. In fact, maybe a little bit better. I'm going to get myself a little bit of water here and head off for the rest of the run. 17 kilometers now. Just about to head back off of the Danube Isle. So got to wind my way up here. The shoes are feeling great. Any discomfort I'd started to feel on my ankle has gone away, so I'm really super happy with these shoes. Back in my hotel room at 24.2 kilometers, which is about 15 miles. And as for the Adidas Prime X's, really pleased with them today. A little bit of getting used to just because it's such a high stack, but it's really super comfortable and very springy. My last half marathon distance of the 15 miles was about 1:57 and I was well in my aerobic zone and the shoes were a big part of that, so extremely pleased with them. So looking back over all my runs, how do these shoes actually feel on your feet? They feel a great combination of springy and comfortable and supportive. Do feel like you're being propelled forward with them. When I run in them, I routinely feel that I'm going about 30 seconds per kilometre slower than I actually am with the shoes. They just encourage a faster foot turnover, the bounciness of them. So yes, it's a high stack height and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's certainly not an unnatural or unsafe feeling. Let me talk about some of the few things I don't like about this shoe. You can see just here on my left foot here, there's a mark. I mean, it doesn't look like anything now, but that's 3 months ago. And I had a bit of a blister there. First time I've ever really had a blister since I started running again. And where it came from is if I bring the shoe up here, just right here where the lace goes underneath here, the tongue is so thin. The surface of the lacing here kind of rubbed away and gave me a bit of a blister now. I started wearing thicker socks and that pretty much solved it. I never really had that problem again, but if you're wearing really thin socks, then it's something you might want to be aware of. So that leads to another minor issue with the shoe, which is just how difficult it can be to put on. Let me just show you, it's a bit of a wrestle here. So, and this is with the laces loose. I'm completely wrestling with this shoe. There's a little bit of a tab at the back here, so I can kind of pull on that. That's kind of how I get there. And there, pulled it on. The other thing to watch for is that the tongue here can fold up on itself inside, like fold up like that a little bit, particularly a bit further down, and that can really niggle, so very important to get the tongue all set and only then go to lace the damn things up. I use a runner's knot because I do find myself slipping just a touch. I bought these true to size, so I'm a US 11, and you can see there's plenty of room here in the toe for me. Maybe a touch too much, but when I lace them up with a runner's knot, I'm never slipping around, but when I don't, they definitely just feel like I'm rising a little bit in the heel. So two solutions to that. If you think that's too much of a gap, go half size down, or do the runner's knot, and then I've had no problems at all with it. And despite how hard these can be to put on, once they're on, they're just super comfortable. They're really great. The top, zero wear at all. Like this cellar mesh, I think it's called upper, is really great, really strong, and I've got a history of wearing through the front of shoes. You know, like a lot of the Sauconys I have, for some reason my toe seems to wear through the mesh at the top before anything else. No problem with that. If I look at the sole, this part with the Continental rubber, just fantastic, like zero wear at all. Let me show you the mid part of the sole, a little bit of a wear in the mid part here. And then the heel, this looks terrible, but it's not the shoe's fault. I do this to almost every Adidas pair of shoe that I have, and although I'm not a wild heel striker, I do seem to kind of scuff my feet sometimes, and so quite often I'll like just rip a little bit of that Continental rubber off the back, and then it starts to just very quickly get to the soft part of the sole underneath. But this looks a lot worse than it is. I mean, you can see the integrity is still there with the heel. So this is the foam on the side here after 150. Don't know if you think it looks any different. This is a brand new pair. So you can see the way the foam wears is kind of starts creasing. But Ed Budd in his channel talks about how these shoes seem to get better and better and more cushioned the longer that you run in them, and that's been my experience too. I ran the Valencia Marathon last weekend in these, and I was just extremely comfortable the entirety of the run. I was worried about the weight of the shoe. I mean, it is a heavy shoe, and I'm used to running in a lot lighter shoes, but I really wasn't conscious of that because they're so supportive, they're so comfortable, there's so much bounce off them that a couple of extra ounces compared to what I'm used to running in is a fair trade-off. I was going to race in Adidas Adios Pro 3s. I love the Adios Pro 3s for I've raced half marathons in them, but I could never quite get the lacing just right for me on the top of the shoes in particular. I even swapped out the laces for softer laces. It's just the top of both these and the Adios Pro 3s is very thin, and top of my foot seems to be a little bit sensitive. And so once I was in the Adios Pro 3s beyond 15, 16 miles, it was getting really irritating. I think the reason these are more comfortable than the Adios Pro 3s is, although it's thin on the top here, the tongue material just seems to me to be just that little bit thicker than the Adios Pro 3s, and that seems to make all the difference in them. One of the great advantages of these shoes over the Adios Pro 2 and the Adios Pro 3 is that with this thickness here, you are just not conscious of the plate at all. In both of those other shoes, I was really starting to feel the plate towards the end of any long run. Like with the 2s, I was feeling it 12, 13 miles. With the 3s, it started to creep in about 16, 17 miles. With a sole this thick, obviously they can feel a touch unstable, but it's a reasonably broad base in them. I wouldn't like to be taking corners fast in them or running a 5k in them, but compared to the Adios Pro 2, I find them significantly less unstable. Look forward to your comments. Your own experiences with the Prime X, please let me know.